longest-running real estate talk show in the North Bay, The Real Estate Hour. The legacy continues with Allison Norman and her business partner, Stephanie Norman, the newest mother-daughter real estate team.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Sunday. It's the last day of August.
It is. Can you believe it?
I can't. It is crazy.
It's
Where
almost,
does the time go?
Almost fall. Almost fall.
I'm excited for fall. I love fall.
Fall is nice. Already seeing the pumpkin spice here and there.
Yes.
And everywhere.
The corn maze is looking
the
pretty
corn maze
full.
is about 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
So
It's getting there, within the next month
halfway
and a
there.
half or whatever.
It's definitely not a fall cool in the air, though.
No,
Good
it's
grief.
that.
Hot.
One of those hot falls that we get here.
Yeah. I know. Everybody forgets every year. That it's fall. Why is it so hot? Well, we had such a mild summer. It was really nice. It was probably a really nice summer, in my opinion.
And getting really hot.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be pretty hot today, too, right?
Hotter than yesterday, they said.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That's my opinion.
Well,
my
stay
personal
cool.
opinion. Anyway, so
and
stay cool out there.
hydrated.
And anyway, so here we are. It's the real estate hour. We're gonna we're a little discombobulated today because Barry Real Estate Information Services. I don't know if it was our computer. I think it was Barry's because everything else was working fine. But I got one number. one number as far as looking up all the market numbers and information, what's selling, what's happening, what's active on the market, all that we talk about every week. And it just is circling and nothing.
Yep.
I got nothing.
Got nada.
I got as far as there's single family homes. There's 1,042 active on the market at a median price of $1,107,500, I believe. And then it wouldn't do anything else for me, and I closed down.
Yeah.
I opened it back up. I did anyway. So we won't have the numbers now today, but we will post them on our Facebook page, which we do every week anyway.
As we can get them, we will post them.
Yeah.
So just
hopefully it's just a temporary thing. And
follow us and stay tuned. And I was just gonna give an update out there for the Picket Fire. It is 65% contained via CAL FIRE 13 hours ago. So hopefully it's more than that now. I don't know, but if you need. If you're looking for the latest updates or information on the evacuation orders, you can visit for evacuation orders, sorry. It's protect.genesis.com, and that's GENASYS.
okay.
Protect.genesis.com, and then for other
And that's
information.
through CAL FIRE?
Yeah,
It's
that's
a roundabout way of getting to it. Yeah.
It's not through CAL FIRE. It's a link that CAL FIRE posted on Facebook.
Okay.
It's not through them. And then if you are wanting to know updates on the Picket Fire, search or go to fire.ca.gov, go to incidents and search Picket Fire, and all the information is there.
Perfect. Thank you. And you posted that on Facebook as well.
I did
so our
post that.
Facebook page is the Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman.
Yes,
So
it is.
find that, like us, share.
Yes, and make sure
say,
you're
hey, there's
following
some good
us
information
for
on
all
here.
of your local updates and real estate updates.
Yes.
We post the market update every week. We also share our video and the podcast from the Real Estate Hour.
We do. Yeah, and our YouTube, we're a little behind because we're still having a few technical issues with the, it's really more storage issues because it's such a large, it's almost an hour long video. So anyway, so we're falling behind a little. But if you go into Sonoma County Real Estate Hour on YouTube, you'll find our videos.
Yeah.
Of our show. And then you can also go to the KSRO website, which is a little, it still has the links. It doesn't have much more than that on our little page at KSRO.com. KSRO.com. And then you go to shows, and then you go to Ask the Expert. When you find the Real Estate Hour, you'll see our little page. And then a whole bunch of just little links and to the podcasts, and it doesn't have the whole explanation and all of our links that we talk about. For some reason, they've lost track of that. So, Joe, is it still Or is it looking a
Well,
little better?
interesting. Yesterday, I do garden talk in the Good Food Hour. Good Food Hour showed up with the explanation. So I don't know.
Oh, we're still,
Flip
we're on the
flip a
list.
coin.
Maybe we're at the bottom of the list. No,
We'll
we're
see when we post.
we're on the list to repair that. Anyway, so my point was that you can still find the actual link to the podcast of the show if you can't listen to the whole thing today, or if we said something and you go, gosh, what was that they said again? You can go back and listen. There's lots of ways to find us. A lot of people I know are heading off to church and they go, oh, we missed your show because we go to church that time. And there's no excuse because you can find it a million different ways. Not a million, but a couple.
Just a few, yeah.
There's a couple. You can go to KSRO.com. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can hey, call us up and go, hey, I missed your show today. What'd you talk about? And we'll send you the link. So,
Yes,
or tell you what we talked about.
Hopefully
Anyway,
we'll be able to get the numbers later. For
yeah,
the
we
market
will have the
update.
numbers. Sorry about that. I'll just
And the
tell you.
picket fire hasn't been updated since last night, so maybe they're having the same issues you had trying to get your numbers. Who
I know
knows?
it was 13 hours ago.
Yeah, I will say it smelled like smoke outside. But it's the first
Yeah.
time I've really smelled any smoke and I don't know if maybe there was another fire or it's just kind of drifting this
It
way.
might be.
But I haven't really smelled smoke here in the north, in Santa Rosa area. We're over in Northwest Santa Rosa. The radio show and our office is Northeast Santa Rosa. So we did smell a little bit of smoke this morning. And just, shout out to all of the firefighters that are
Yes,
out there, Cal
definitely.
Fire and anybody. I think a lot of times there's the California Conservation Corps. I don't know if they're out there, but they get out there and do clearing and
Yeah,
whoever is working on that.
Whoever is working on the fire.
In
Thank
this
you so
extreme
much.
heat.
Yes.
God, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
don't
you,
take
thank
them
you.
for granted.
Yeah,
for
seriously.
sure.
Exactly. I do know I saw a couple of fires and evacuations, smaller fires in Lake County, Lakeport
wow,
and Kelseyville. So that's a little scary, but I think
I
they got
think
those
those
under
are
control.
fine now.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was just
Those are fine.
a little scary. We do have clients that we've sold to out there in Lake County, and so I always think of them. And we have a friend that lives out there, Clear Lake area. Anyway, so we're thinking about all you too. It's a scary time of year. We are in fire season. So
Yes.
with that note, Stephanie, you have some...
Yes, I have an event through Halter Project, who we talk about all the time. It's Animal Emergency Prep Day at Brocco's Old Barn. It's Saturday, September 13th, so it's a little ways away, so we'll remind you when it gets closer. But it's 19660 Arnold Drive, Sonoma, California, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Pick up your prep, passport, and animal emergency plan, and shop for essentials. Short pet disaster prep talks and Q&A sessions with Halter Project. Great deals on items for your animal emergency supply kit, free backpacks, and pet care kits to the first of 100 customers.
Oh, so get there early.
Yeah, and so for more information on this event, you can go to Halter Project's Facebook page. It's just I believe it's just Halter Project.
Yeah, or they have their website, halterproject.org.
Oh yeah, halterproject.org,
Yeah.
and that's HALTER project.org.
Right, and we'll add
They
them
do
to the
great
shout
things
out.
during the fires and other emergency situations where they transport pets.
Well, yeah, and they train and educate and pull people together for that.
Yes.
Sonoma County CART, Lake County, I believe, has a CART. It's CART. It's an acronym, and it's they do. A Halter Project is involved in that, but just shout out to them too. Add that to our list of shout out to all of you working on those fires. But that's a big deal here in Sonoma County and surrounding areas, Napa County, Lake County. There's a lot of people with large animals.
Yes.
We are an agricultural area, very high agricultural area. So the people that have the pets and the big pets, the horses and the livestock, the goats and the sheep and the all of that. When there's a fire, it's getting those. You don't just put them in the car and take off. There's a process, and there's always.
If you need to.
I know. If you need to, I've seen stories of people putting the cow in the back of the truck. But there's people that really rally together and come out there with their horse trailers and their trucks.
It's pretty amazing.
And they do a great job. So when you're thanking CAL FIRE, also thank everybody else that's involved, which includes the people that are out there helping people get their pets out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we got to take a break.
And helping them find their pets as well. That's a big one.
After.
Yes,
after
the
fire.
disaster,
There was a lot of, when we had our fires here in Sonoma County, there have been just a lot of people that came together in the Facebook pages, and there's people that there has to be somebody to coordinate all of that. So there's always somebody that steps up and helps people find their pets. Anyway, I think we need to take a break. And then, let's take a break. Yeah, Joe? Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we talk about every week what we're going to talk about, and then sometimes we get a little distracted and we don't talk about what we said we were going to talk about. I realized after we ended the show,
sometimes
quite often we have great plans on doing these things, and then we get distracted and always talk about good stuff. I mean, it was for good reason. I hope that you guys agree, But anyway, so we were talking about the steps kind of through the process of getting ready to buy a home, finding a realtor, all of that, but also some common real estate mistakes that people make and how to avoid those. And then a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. The price per square foot, a lot of people think that that's a good way to value a home or to compare a home. It really, unless you live in a subdivision where everything is exactly the same, even then, price per square foot, they don't know, it doesn't show you everything. And it doesn't take into effect everything. And then also a lot of people think, well, I put $100,000 into my house, it must be worth $100,000 more than the house next door. And money in does not necessarily equal money out. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And we mentioned it last week, and then we got distracted and ran out of time. So we promised to talk about that this week and when we come back. But let's take a quick break. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We are the Norman Home Team, and you're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back. Good morning. Good morning. We're back.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm struggling over here with I'm a little tangled up this morning.
Oh, no. Just one of those mornings. It's okay.
Anyway, we are back. It is the Real Estate Hour, and we're going to talk about real estate stuff. If you didn't catch us at the beginning of the show, we told you all of our issues this morning with the not able to get the numbers that we usually tell you about. That just wasn't coming up on our...
Yeah, it's usually we have the weekly market update, and Barry's... which is the...
Bay Area Real Estate Information Services.
I was trying to remember what it stood for.
And that's our local MLS. And that's where we get all of our numbers up to date. We really do it like 15 minutes before the show, because then it's nice and fresh and everything is accurate as far as, unless somebody hasn't put the information in yet. But anyway, so we weren't able to pull that up this morning. So we will, as we said, we'll put that on our Facebook page. And
as soon as we can get those numbers.
Yeah, I think it was something with Barry's, because everything else on the computer was working. I thought for a minute that the internet was down or something, but I'm like, everything else is working. So anyway, we don't have the numbers for you. I have the one I was able to pull up before it stopped working. Single family homes, there's 1,042 active single family homes with a median list price of $1,107,500. That's down actually a little bit. It was 1,065 last week when we pulled the numbers. So, the other number, the 1,107,500 is actually up a little from last week. But that median we talk about a lot is it really doesn't mean your home value per se is going up. It means that to some extent it is. It means home values are kind of up or down, but it tells you more of what's selling, if it's the higher priced homes or lower priced homes that are selling. And so there's two different things that control that median. It's home values in general are going up and down, or I think more it's showing you what's, because it's the middle, shows you the middle of the market. So it's not an average, it's the middle. And so that's like a needle that goes up or down based on what's selling or what's active on the market. Our median in escrow is usually around $850. I would guess it's probably around that today, right now. And it's usually been pretty consistently in the mid 300s in escrow. It's really interesting to me that, looking back several years, no matter how many we've had active on the market in escrow is always kind of around 300, 350. When we have really low inventory, or like during the very first couple of months of COVID when nobody could really even go look at property, then it was down like really, really low numbers as far as what was in escrow and what was selling. But otherwise, it's pretty consistently in that 300 range. It's really interesting too.
300 of
in escrow. Single family homes in escrow. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, so excuse me. So we don't have those numbers today, but what we do have is what we started talking about last week. Stephanie was going through a list that we put together, kind of real estate transaction safeguard checklist, and we went through hire licensed agent, making sure that you check the DRE, Department of Real Estate for California website, and there is a place to look up a licensee, make sure they truly are licensed, and then also make sure that they don't have violations, and all of that.
That's a little important.
Yeah, and then you mentioned reviews as far as, I mean, really the best place. Everybody, people put it on their website, or you can go to, different places and look for reviews. But really the best thing is just to go to Yelp, go to Google, like Google Business Page, and studies have shown really that people are more likely to use a person that they go to online review and see good reviews. And sometimes all it takes is one bad review and you go, oh, never mind, and they move on to the next person. So anyway, I would encourage you to look further than one bad review and see why that bad review was. But ask people, ask around, ask your friends who you use, and we do. I haven't figured out the percentage, but I'd say it's probably about 80% of our business, right,
I would say so
is
too.
From either referrals from agents out of the area, from property managers, from past clients, or just past clients who call us up and say, hey, I'm ready to sell that house that we bought, 5, 6, 10 years ago. So a personal recommendation from a friend is a great way to do it as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And then we talked about understanding your budget, getting pre-approved. We went into a long list of reasons why you should call your lender.
Yes, definitely.
And don't be afraid to. And then understanding the market. That's how we like to keep you in charge. I mean, not in charge, but I guess in charge of your own destiny. But really knowing the market and understanding what's happening in the market in your little tiny segment of the market, not the, it's good to know, and how we talk about the numbers here in Sonoma County and on the local news. They talk about the Bay Area numbers, and then they talk about the state numbers, and they talk about the national numbers, but which is good, all good, I think, information to know, but you want to know what's happening in your neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, because before I really got into real estate, I would hear things about real estate on the news, and I didn't realize that was national.
Yeah.
It took me a bit to realize, oh, this is national. This isn't what's happening in my neighborhood or in the state I live in. It's national, so that's like all of all the states.
and that is so far removed from what's happening in our little pocket of the world, so
definitely.
It's good, I guess, to keep an eye on. It helps you understand the economy of the country, but it really doesn't help you understand real estate, how the real estate in general is doing, because there are parts of the country right now who are really experiencing a huge shift into a buyer's market.
Yeah.
They're seeing an uptick in foreclosures. They're seeing homes sit way, longer and longer and longer on the market. Ours, we're kind of more of an even market, where things are definitely slower than they were. But we don't have a huge influx of foreclosures. We don't have a huge. We do have more days on the market, but then there's other parts of the country, like on the East Coast. There's some parts where things are flying off the shelf still. So houses are flying off the shelf. You know what I mean? But they're selling really fast. They're in even parts of Sonoma County.
That's
there are
exactly
some
what I was
segments
just going to add to that. Yeah.
So
that's how big of a thing it is you want to look in. It's like your specific neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's going to be completely different than the city or the county.
Yeah. Or different types of properties too.
Yeah,
everybody's looking for that single family home with
Yeah.
In Windsor, a lot of people are looking for a 4-bedroom home for some reason. I I know, because Windsor.
Not really for some reason, but
because Windsor is a very family-centric area, and not to say that people that don't have families aren't welcome, but I'm saying that, so the areas where it's very a lot of families want to be those homes with the 4-bedroom homes, or there's other parts of the county where condos are a bigger deal. A lot of people, especially down in Marin, there's a lot of market for condos. I think because their pricing is so high, and a lot of people live in the city, and they have a condo here and there in Marin. But anyway, so it depends on where you are and what kind of property. Country property, Sebastopol country property is small, 1/4 acre, 1/2 acre, 1 acre, 2 acres. Those are really kind of hot ticket items, in that area. So knowing those things, and knowing how many are on the market and how many are, what your competition looks like is really important to know all that. So anyway, that's kind of where we left off last week, and then we started into property valuation, which is ordering a professional inspection, reviewing seller disclosures, and all of that. And we're going to talk about that. I think we're getting close to having to take a break, but we will talk about that when we get back. Reviewing seller disclosures, why it's so important to really look at those disclosures and not just go, oh yeah, sign more paperwork, signing that, more paperwork, signing that. It's really important to look at that, and for agents too. And ask your agent, did you see anything? Because I'm not seeing anything that's of concern. Did you? And then also the title inspection, the title report. So many people don't look at the title report and look at the CC&Rs and look at the HOA docs. And I always have to tell people, did you review the HOA docs? And we usually review them as well. You want to look at the budget. You want to look at all of that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get back, and then we move on into the other things about once you're in contract and all of that. So sound good?
Sounds good.
All righty. We're going to take a quick break for the news. When we come back, we'll have all that. Joe, that was a loud one. Okay, I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We are the Norman Home Team, and you're listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, August 31st.
Crazy.
Almost September. Okay, so we're back at this Real Estate Hour. We're talking about real estate transaction. Gosh, can I talk today? Real estate transaction safeguard checklist that we put together for you, and working our way through. This is something we started last week. We're finishing up, so we're down to so we talked about a little before we went on our break about seller disclosures and the importance of really reviewing them. So this is for buyers. If you're getting, you're getting. We talked about getting ready. To start, and then and now you're starting. So you've got an offer accepted. You want to really kind of make sure either the seller has done the inspections. Yeah. And this can actually even happen before you put an offer in. But we always ask the other agent, are there any disclosures? Can you send a disclosure package? And really, it's interesting because since I started in real estate 18 years ago, we're coming up on 19, we really didn't do the upfront. It wasn't really that standard here in Sonoma County. You put your house on the market, the buyer would put an offer in, then they would do all of their inspections, and they'd ask for the disclosures and all that, and you'd get it after your offer was accepted. And then maybe 10 years ago, it really kind of started to be more, and it was kind of coming up from the San Francisco and Marin County agents, I think kind of started this first, is where they put together this nice disclosure package. And it had all the disclosures up front. You'd show any kind of interest in that property, they'd send you a disclosure package. And we're all, well, this is kind of cool. And any agents that are listening, if I'm telling this story wrong, let me know. But this is what I experienced and what I remember is we started seeing these nice little packets coming from agents that were really kind of that covered Sonoma and San Francisco and Marin. And it started to become more of a trend here to where, well, this is a great idea. Let's put together this nice packet. And it's really helpful for the seller. And we tell you all the time, right? We're always saying, when you put your house, getting ready to put your house in the market as the seller, get those inspections up front.
Yes,
Fill out all
definitely.
those disclosures. I know it's a pain to fill out 8 pages or 7. I guess it's 7. 4 pages seller property questionnaire, 3-page transfer disclosure statement. A lot of really long, drawn out questions where maybe there's an answer in there somewhere in this long paragraph of things where you're supposed to say, yes, I am aware that there is an issue here.
Yeah.
But you got to read through it carefully, and it's a pain to do, but do it because you have to do it eventually.
It saves you in the long run.
Yeah.
Also.
It does.
Yes.
Because what happens is a buyer, and this one we weren't putting together these nice packets, and sometimes the seller says, no, I don't want to do that. They can pay for all of the reports and all that. And so, okay. We are here to suggest, based on our knowledge and our experience in real estate and in doing this, that if you don't do it ahead of time, it gives the buyer this huge opportunity to come back and ask for a whole bunch of money back or credits or repairs, because they can say, I didn't know about this. Had I known, I would have offered less, or I wouldn't have offered this on this, or I wouldn't even wanted to buy this property. So if you have those inspections up front and you have all those disclosures up front, the buyer is they can't come back and say, I didn't know. Because yes, you did. You saw this. You signed this thing saying, I've seen this whole packet of stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, though, there's one big caveat to that. It doesn't mean they can't come and do their own inspections. Unless there's something written into the offer that says we're not going to do any more inspections. They can't bring their contractor in, or their brother the contractor, or their brother the handyman, or their dad that thinks he knows all these things, which we see often, where the dad comes in and says, oh, you got to do this and that. And
then it falls out.
And then, So knowing that ahead of time.
Yes, and I was just going to add in there, another big one is if you don't do the inspections, buyer does inspections, and they come back with these huge prices of things that need to be fixed. As to when you as the seller do your inspections, you can get those bids yourself and show them to the buyers as to what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
Other than having these huge prices where they're
asking. A
asking.
lot of times I think they kind of, and not nothing against, not saying anybody's lying or anything, but they tend to kind of, the bids or estimates that you get, like from a home inspector or from a pest inspector, they're usually a little on the high side because they don't want to err on, so they err to the high end. But that doesn't mean that's what it's really going to cost if you have somebody coming. So you're right. Having somebody, even if you're a seller, you can't afford to do inspections and all that, or you do the inspections, you can't afford to do the work. That's okay. But one really good thing to do is just get the bids anyway. Yeah. Say, here, it needs this. Here's the inspections. Here's what the work that needs to be done. To the property, here's our estimate of what it's going to cost. And then, again, that doesn't mean the buyer can't say, as a buyer, you can say, well, that's all fine and dandy, but I want to do my own inspections. I want to use my own contractor to get me an estimate of what this is going to cost. And they can do that. But the chances of things falling apart because they didn't know are hugely diminished by having those inspections to them ahead of time.
Yeah.
So anyway,
definitely.
and having that nice packet of information together is really good. And so when you go to, as usual, we got off track. But anyway, when you back to the list, when you go to put an offer in, your agents should be asking, and I could almost guarantee that they will, is asking the other agent, are there any disclosures before we write our offer, because that our offer will be based on the information we have.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you haven't gotten that, if they didn't do the inspections, didn't do the report, if you are a buyer, get those inspections done. It's really important to get at least at the very, very minimum home inspection, pest inspection. If you're in a country property where there's a well and a septic, get the well and accepted. And this could be, up to $2,000 or more. It keeps going up. Probably $3,000 if you're a country property, because you're looking at $700 for a home inspection, maybe $500-$600 for a pest inspection. you could spend $1,000 on a well inspection if you're also doing the water testing, which is also a really important thing to do. Is what is the quality of the water coming out of this well? Not only is there water, how much water is there, but is there E. coli? Is there what are the other ones? Different chemicals, different things that are bad that you don't want. Is it heavy on iron and it's gonna, you're gonna need a filter? All these things, and then the septic can be, that could be, close to another $1,000. But and so having those done up front is huge and really nice for a buyer coming in.
Yes, definitely.
But
it's super
if
helpful.
not, just know as a buyer you're going to be spending some money, and that's really the cost of buying a property. Because if bad things come back and you can't negotiate with the seller, something to compensate you for those things that you didn't realize were there when you put your offer in, you're backing out, and you're out that money because it was for your own personal information. So just be aware of that. It is something, it's just money you're going to need to spend. So anyway, and then the title report, once we open, an offer is accepted, or if somebody has gotten it like a pre-open escrow, there's going to be a title report. That title report has a page of exceptions. It's really important to look at those and understand what they are. And it's things that aren't covered by the title insurance necessarily. So it's good to, and the title, the escrow officer, if there's anything on there you don't understand, ask them to, explain that. What is this? What is this exception? What are these easements? They'll usually give you an easement map too, which is really helpful. So anyway, those are a property evaluation. Contract and contingencies is our next thing that we are going to talk about on that. And really making sure that you have some contingencies in place when you write an offer. When it's been a really strong seller's market, which means there's very few homes on the market and a lot of buyers, we've seen a lot of offers that are non-contingent.
Yeah.
We even see sellers and their agents saying we're looking for a non-contingent offer, and that's when they give you the entire packet of everything you need to know about that property, even though you have the right to go and do your own inspections and do your own, get your own bids and all that. But you're more likely as a seller to get non-contingent offers if you provide all the information up front. And then if you're really solidly qualified for a loan, absolutely talk to your lender first. And get their blessing on whether it's safe for you to write an offer that's not contingent on a loan or not contingent on an appraiser. Some lenders or some buyers are in such a good position, and they're golden, as a lot of lenders say they're golden. It means they're qualified no matter what.
Yeah.
They can write an offer that's not contingent on a loan. With their lender's blessing. Please make sure you get your lender's blessing on that.
So that would be them being for sure that they qualify?
Yeah, that means if they don't get the loan, they don't have that safety net or that exit lane saying, oops, couldn't get the loan, I have to back out. If you're removing those contingencies, and thanks for bringing us back to Real Estate 101, what is a contingency? Yeah, contingency is that safety net. My agent up in Oregon called it an exit lane, and I thought that was a great. I've always called it a safety net. It's your out, it's your way out, different ways out. But an exit lane is as we're heading towards the finish line, there's exits, and those are your contingencies. So you have contingencies for insurance, which is a really big one right now. You should be checking at the very beginning, sometimes before you even put an offer in. Can I get insurance? How high is it going to be? But that's an exit lane. That's a contingency. Your loan, you're saying basically, I'd like to buy this house, but if I can't get a loan, then I can't buy it, and I can get out of this contract. If it doesn't appraise, you can say, "Whoops, never mind. I'm going to take this exit." And then the physical inspection of the property, which includes inspections, but also really anything. I want my dad to come look at the property. I want my I want my best friend to come tell me if it was a good decision. There's all these things you can. There are there are legal limits to that, you know. You can't technically, I don't think, just say, I don't like the curtains, I'm backing out. A lot of times we hear really weird, ridiculous reasons why somebody's backing out, and there's a lot that are really borderline not okay, but if somebody wanted to push it, they could. But anyway, you do have those exit lanes. So really make sure that you have the contingencies in place. If you have to make a really strong competitive offer, best thing to do, in my opinion, is to shorten those contingency periods. If you need to really strengthen it, check with your lender. If you have, and can I remove the appraisal contingency? Can I remove the loan contingency with the offer? Do I have all the information here? I've had sellers, and actually when I bought the house in Oregon, it was a non-contingent offer, even though I had a loan, appraisal, and inspections. I had the inspections in hand. There were some inspections done, but I had to write a non-contingent offer to get it accepted because we were competing with cash. So it could be done. And what we've had really buyers where they say, well, what's the worst case scenario? What could be wrong in these inspections? This is for the inspection portion of the contingency. If the furnace isn't working, how much is that going to cost me to fix, or to replace? If it needs a new roof, what's that going to cost? And looking at that, and then am I okay with that? If I end up getting stuck with this house that had things wrong that I wasn't aware of, really you can kind of weigh those options on having to write a strong offer. Yeah. So, but really all of our attorneys say keep those contingencies in place. Reality says sometimes you need to be okay with removing them, but you have to be okay with it and understand the consequences, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so what's our next one? Are we taking a break, Joe?
Alrighty.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll talk about the closing process and after closing if we have time.
Yeah, we will. Okay, yeah, because we wanted to fit in a couple other things too. Anyway, we'll be right back. I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
For the Norman Home Team, you've been listening, or you are listening still, to the Real Estate Hour. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are back. We're going to power through. So we
Per
can get
usual.
all this stuff per usual. So we're kind of going through a list of safeguards, kind of buyer safeguards through the process of a real estate transaction. We're in the closing process, so you got your offer accepted. You've done your inspections, you got your loan approved, you've got it appraised. Usually if it didn't appraise, your loan isn't going to be approved unless you can come in with extra money and work it out, or ask for less, lower the price or whatever. But anyway, so you've done all those things, you've removed all your contingencies, you're ready to close. But first, I'm sorry. So you've got your offer accepted. The escrow will be open. Either it's pre-open and we're going to officially open escrow, or you're going to say, I want to use, whatever escrow company I like, and we're going to go ahead and open escrow there. You're going to deposit your funds and all of that, and that starts that process. You get your prelim and all of that. We're going to kind of breeze through that. Your agent will help you through that. That's nothing that you really need to worry about. Except with the exception of the wiring instructions, right? And it's so important. Wire instructions, it's a huge deal of fraud and theft and cyber crimes and all of that.
It's scary and it's sad.
Please don't. And there's warnings everywhere for you. Your title company will warn you. Wire is a great way to do business and wiring the funds rather than a check and all of that stuff. But you're going to have twice that maybe even 3 times you're going to have to wire funds. It will always, 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 always be the same wire instructions. What happens sometimes is the bad guys will fake an email. They'll make it look exactly like it's coming from the title company. And then they'll say, here's some new wiring instructions. Or in the initial time, here's the wire instructions. And people wire their money off and it's gone, So through 2 big things you need to do. One, ask for the wire instructions, right? But they're going to send an encrypted, secure thing that you have to log into. It'll get you the wire instructions. I wouldn't stop there. I would then open that up. Here's the wire instructions. Call the title company, not the phone number that's in the email that you got. because as we all know, that could be a fake phone number, and it goes, and they'll say, this is XYZ title company, and you say, just checking the wire instructions, and they said, yep, those are right, and it's a fake person the whole time. So look it up. What's the phone number for Fidelity? What's the phone number for First American Title, or North Coast Title? All of our great title companies here in Sonoma County. Call that number and say, I'm wanting to confirm the wire instructions. Or walk in there and say, can I get the wire instructions? Can you print that up and I'll take it to the bank? It's really important. It's not to scare you off of not using wire because it's a great way to do business and transfer money. It's just really dangerous if you don't follow the steps. So
and it's been a big thing for a while now.
It has, and there have been people that have lost hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars for doing. In fact, the city of Sebastopol a few years ago, there was a story where somebody sent some money. They were victims of a wire fraud where they sent money off. And it was, I think it was the city of Sebastopol. Hopefully I'm not saying it wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. But anyway, and then the important thing is once you send your wire, make sure that it goes through and don't wait days and days. If you catch it right away, and the FBI might be able to stop it. But otherwise, it's an offshore account. They can't do anything about it. And people just go, oh, well, I sent it 3 days ago. You mean you didn't ever get it? And it's like, oh, man, check and make sure it went. Because it usually, it'll go out that day or the next day. Don't wait days. The other important thing in the closing process is that final walkthrough. So you're entitled to and required to do, unless you waive it. There was a place to say, I waive the final walkthrough. I don't care. I don't want to go look. I'm out of town, whatever. You can do that, but really it's your chance to go in and make sure that the property has been, is in the same condition as it was when you wrote the offer. And if any repairs needed to be done, that they were done. That they didn't like stop watering and everything died. They didn't put holes in the walls when they were moving things out. They left it a complete mess. They left junk in the garage. They left junk outside. It's your chance within 5 days of closing usually to make sure that that's been done. Sometimes the person's still moving out and they're planning on moving out the day we close. So you can't say, well, I want everything out unless you've negotiated that in the contract and say we're not going to close until 5 days after you move out. And that's not practical for people that are moving to another house or whatever. But the important thing to know about the walkthrough, there is no contingency of sale. The walkthrough is not a contingency. It's your opportunity to go make sure that things are done and that they are how they're supposed to be. But you can't stop a sale. And a lot of people don't understand that. And even agents will say, well, we're not going to close escrow until you move all that stuff. It's like, well, you know what? You can't do that. The contract says you need to we are closing on this date. We can give you a notice to close and all of that. To get you to close, but we still see sometimes an agent at the request of their buyer often is well, we're not going to close. We're not going to deposit funds until this junk is moved out of the backyard. You can't do that.
So if they were to give a notice to perform,
they have to close or cancel the contract. I mean, a notice to close escrow is to just that, and it's usually a 2 or 3 day notice. What your recourse is you close escrow as planned, and then you file a lawsuit against them to do. I will tell you that there is always a way to work it out. We've closed escrow with the agreement, and even maybe they'll leave money in escrow, the seller, saying if we don't take care of this, we'll pay somebody to do it or something. I have multiple times gotten with the other agent and we've got a truck out there and we've moved things, or I've done it myself, or we get in there and we clean things, or we hire a cleaning person. We say you need to do this, to our sellers. I mean, if we work it out. I have never had somebody have to close escrow when there was something they didn't like on the walkthrough and then have to go get an attorney to get something taken care of. We always make it work. I know Mike and I, Mike closed on something. I think it was I don't know if this is a story he told or it was one that was his listing or buyer. But anyway, somebody took the refrigerator. And we had negotiated the refrigerator, and the buyers moved out and the refrigerator was gone. I mean, the sellers moved out. I think the agents got together, Mike and the agent on the other side, and bought a refrigerator, or we said, you have to buy a refrigerator. Taking the bathroom mirror sometimes, because that's actually negotiable now. And we've had that. Well, it was a really expensive mirror. So anyway, so we will work it out. But the walkthrough is not a contingency of the sale. Anyway, so after we close, changing the locks, updating utilities, file for property tax exemptions. Talk to your, look and see if the county has any. I think there's a homestead exemption that you can do, and then talk to your tax person. Right,
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
breezing through it because I wanted to get to the other thing that we probably won't have time for today. We always underestimate how much we're going to talk.
Well, there's so much to talk about.
I know, and I think it's all really important information.
yes.
We will, so bottom line on the money spent, equaling money out, there's a return on investment for things, you can look at what you want to put a pool in your backyard. It's a really good example. It costs, $200,000 to put a pool in. That doesn't mean now instantly your $800,000 house is worth $1 million, It's also going to they are going to reassess. It will add some value and they'll reassess. And you may be paying a little higher taxes, but are you going to enjoy it?
Well, and another big thing is with adding a pool to your property, it could either make your property better or it could make it worse because maybe someone likes the house but they don't want a pool. So now they're looking at the cost of getting rid of the pool. Right.
What's it going to cost to now get, fill in this pool? So, that, and then, other things like fixing your kitchen up or, you spend $100,000 on a kitchen remodel, which I think you can do. You can spend that much. I've always done it because I do a lot of the stuff myself. So I don't know, but I know they can be really pricey, but would that make sense? Is it going to add that much value? Or are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it to add value to the house? So if you're doing it to add value to the house, really look at, is it going to make a difference? And we hear a lot of times we'll see a listing that's really overpriced and they'll say, well, I spent, I put $500,000 in updates on this property. Well, that doesn't necessarily make it worth that much more, So just be aware of that and understand that when you're doing that. And that's all
I think the best way to do that is if you're updating it to match the other houses that are on the market.
Exactly. And for your own comfort and enjoyment,
yes.
Are you going to enjoy it? Is this for you or is it for putting it on the market?
Yeah,
so it's a really important distinction.
Definitely.
So anyway, how can people find us?
You can find us on Facebook, The Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. You can find us on KSRO.com.
Yeah.
Ask the Expert, and we are somewhere in the
YouTube.
list.
Yeah.
And you can find us on YouTube.
Sonoma County Real Estate Hour on YouTube. Our phone number. How about a phone number?
707-799-3617.
All right, I'm Allison Norman.
I'm Stephanie Norman.
We're the Norman Home Team. You've been listening to the Real Estate Hour. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Hour with Allison and Stephanie Norman. The Norman Home Team on KSRO. Sonoma County real estate market knowledge from real estate professionals. Born and raised in the North Bay. Sunday mornings at 9 on KSRO and KSRO.com.